Hey, this is Tiger. Welcome to my stream. AJ, you just subscribed, and you're subscribed for 32 months already, and this in a row on a 32-month streak. Thank you so much for all the ongoing support. Thank you for your good evening, and enjoy the stream. It takes us back to playing Train Sim World 6 last week. I had to take a break, as I announced before. I will have only very little time for streaming and Train Sim World 6 in the upcoming months, since there are a lot of things that I have to take care of. Nevertheless, please heed the disclaimer. Railways are dangerous places. We're talking about playing computer games and computer games alone, nothing else. So please leave the real railway installations to the professionals. Disclaiming on, I got the DLCs and the game for free from Dovetail Games, and as an ambassador, I have to disclose to you that I got the game and the DLCs for free, but this is all I got and this is all they do. My opinion is still my own. Spectre, hey Tiger and all, so nice to see you on the stream. Hope you're doing well. And what we are doing tonight is, I hope you will find us later and get around to watching this video, is something that CDRajdar suggested the other day. We're playing a scenario on the Maintalbahn called Running on Vapors, where we are running a train that has only a very small amount of fuel left, and we have to take him home to Aschaffenburg anyways. And it teaches us some weird things, actually, about how this Desiro Classic DMU 642 works. And how we can drive with saving fuel. I know that scenario reminded me of my first year as a driver with limited amount of cash in the bank and fuel in the tank. Well, we have to admit that it is easier to coast on a train than on a car, especially if you have to adhere to the traffic regulations, traffic lights and everything. Good afternoon. The fuel levels on this train are lower than expected due to an error from the previous driver. You will have to watch your fuel levels carefully when driving to Aschaffenburg. You may need to use some fuel-saving techniques for this service, such as using less throttle power, reducing the throttle to zero and coasting parts of your journey. Good luck. And we have a fuel meter here in our train. Master key to on. Night mode. Set the signal lights to headlight. That is over here. No, that is the wipers. That is the headlights to headlights. And then we can unlock the doors. That leaves us some room to switch on the PZB, obviously, and the SIFA. Sit down again and check out what people are doing here. Heading to Aschaffenburg. So much is Miltenberg, as to be expected. Yes. Anything else that we can save on fuel? Maybe we can actually turn off the train lights. That might save some fuel as well. And then we want to have a close look on our engines and what they are doing. Because that is key for this scenario, actually. Set the reverser to forward. Release the parking brake. And then apply some power. We have a holding brake that we can actually see here in this marker that the holding brake is on, and also on the brake cylinder manometers. And now we apply power. We're not only paying attention to the starting program of the PCB, but also not to apply too much traction power, to not waste more fuel than we need to waste. We're limited to 60 until we're a good part across the bridge. There will be a short decline after the bridge, so we will probably want to coast out of the station and still have some room on the speed clock so that we don't have to waste energy by braking our train. So I accelerate only to like 45 kilometers. And also pay close attention. And here on this screen you can see that we have two engines, actually, two diesel engines. And we always have to pay attention that the second engine switches off when coasting. If it does not, then we sometimes have to yank the lever into braking a bit. See, we're still accelerating downhill here. If done properly, we won't exceed the 60. And now the second engine is coming back. We have 8.9 kilometers to go until we have to stop at Klingenberg. The limit is 120. So we will probably want to accelerate with about 80% traction to 100 and then coast the remaining part. It's more or less even until we get to Klingenberg, so not a lot of up and down going on. And we have to make amends with the timetable. Next up, Blade Mountain, Klingenberg, I guess. Klingen is the plural of Klinge, why is blade, and Berg is obviously mountain. So let's see if the second engine is switching off actually after we got to the 100 kilometers. This route is translation central. You can already think about how to translate the Glanzstofffabrik. Oder Glanzstoffwerke. Alright. Lever to 0. Is the second engine switching off? It is not. For some reason it is staying there. And still reducing our fuel, so we can dip it into brake and out of brake again. And then you can see that the second motor is switching off. Second engine, the second diesel engine. And also the first one is reducing the rotations per minute significantly, and now we're saving fuel properly. We just put the lever into 0. It can happen that both engines are still running on and consuming fuel for whatever reason. Or no reason at all and to no avail. And now it's coasting and coasting. Next week we have a new release of the, well, a very small DLC. The 802 A train. In the Great British Railways livery for the East Coast Main Line, Peterborough, Doncaster, and for the Riviera line. That gives us the opportunity to think about what is ahead in terms of the Great British Railway, what liveries they are going to use. New liveries for East Coast Mainline are a good thing. It is a bit monotonous at the moment, in my opinion. Yeah, that is true. The East Coast Mainline definitely got less love than the West Coast Mainline so far. I hope that 90 will also be involved in East Coast Mainline timetables. Yeah, I really hope that Alan Thompson manages to salvage whatever they are still planning on doing with the Class 90. Limit drops to 60. For our stop at Klingenberg around the corner. Since we're coasting, we are already below the 80 for the PCB. This will not be our problem. It is more about saving more momentum. Because you can see we are already late for this stop. Well. You can't have it both ways. We cannot save fuel and be on time. Here is the 60 limit. It's the station with this beautiful water sled. Or slide. And they slowed us down to 60 because we are going across this switch into the loop line. Klingenberg, ladies and gentlemen. We're only like 3 minutes late. The Maintalbahn, a smallish DLC with a limited range of rolling stock, but actually a nice one. Get the holding brake out. And now get the train moving, and then we drive this thing a bit like you would operate a spacecraft, burning the rockets until we are traveling with the speed that we need, and then let it coast until we get to the next point where something else is required. It's only 2.9 kilometers to the next stop, so I won't accelerate it too fast. I have to stick to the 60 anyway for now. Or if we take the spatial analogy, we could film the train in a film studio in LA and pretend we were driving. Yes. Well, no. I probably will go as far as 80. Not going beyond the 80%. Out with it again. This should not give us 1000 Hertz for the 90. And then again, now it drops on its own. Coasting into Erlenbach. What is Erlen in English? Eine Erle. The tree. I am not sure at the moment. Elder, an elder it is, I see. My botany knowledge left me here. So it's Alder Creek. And we're picking up at least 1 more minute. Probably even a bit more. Limit increases to 120 already before the stop. It's too much. This is the only brake that is holding us in place. Alder Creek on our train that is running on vapors because we are very, very low on fuel and have to get back to Aschaffenburg before we can toad and refueled. We don't have to make it actually into the yard for the refueling point. It is enough for us to get it to the platform. Another burn phase. Ronny, Aschaffenburg sehe ich morgen auch. Good evening all. So, Ronny is going to Aschaffenburg tomorrow with his ICE train. Nice to see you on the chat, Ronny. It's great seeing you. Can tell us if it is actually allowed to do stuff when you're running low on fuel with your train. Like switching off the engine while coasting, or switching off the engine while waiting at the platform. Switching the reverser to neutral, does that make anything? Frankfurt and back to be exact. But yeah, alright. But you won't... Will you stop in Aschaffenburg with your IC? I actually don't know. If the train to Frankfurt stops at Aschaffenburg. I think some do, right? I don't have a diesel Grundkurs, so no clue. Alright. Well, from what I've seen, switching the reverser to neutral does not save additional energy anyway. Switching off the diesel engines while running? I don't know. Most do, typically Vienna bound. Yeah. The ICE trains stop in Aschaffenburg. So again, I will accelerate with a moderate setting of about 80% traction until we are at about 100 or a little more, and then go back to coasting. We're coasting through Kleinwallstadt and not stopping before we get to Obernau. And his 620/821 stops at Aschaffenburg. Alright. But you can see that we already burned a significant amount of fuel, of the fuel that was left when we started this scenario. And now putting back the power brake handle to 0 does not stop the second engine for whatever reason. You can see that. Now finally it drops. Or it should. It drops faster if you go into brake a little. That really kicks it off. Don't know if this is good for the engines. Welcome to small wall town, yes? Small wall town. The other day I was planning my itinerary for the office meetup at DTG's office in August. And I tried to find a clever train connection with the Eurostar, but it just takes so much longer than flying. It is still a bit more expensive, it is. Sad. I would have loved to use the Eurostar, but I couldn't fit it into my schedule the way it is. So now we're coasting. Second engine is at 1 rotation per minute, so it's significant. So it's switched off. The other one is still running at the lowest RPM that we can get, more or less idling with 640 rotations. And this should save us enough fuel to get the train safely. So LF6 is announced for 100, no magnet, because drop to 100 does not give us 1000 hertz. And we're going through Kleinwallstadt here. Limit to 100. And I will probably have another burn phase after Kleinwallstadt here. Otherwise we're going too slow. Whoop. I wonder what those weird graphic glitches are. 7.1 to Obernau. That allows us to have another burn phase. And go back to about 100. And then coast into Obernau. By the way, I turned my ini tweaks on again because it looks so much nicer with the shadows and the foliage compared to without. Only if you use the Medway Valley lane, then you would have to use a blank ini because it is not clear yet what makes the game crash in the Medway Valley when running ini tweaks. Maybe we're getting some documentation about the ini tweaks from a more or less official source. That would be great. Even better it would be if they could implement those things already in game settings. Now coasting into Obernau. Passing another station that we are not stopping at. Please stay behind the white line. Trains are passing at speed here. Not necessarily this train. The horn costs fuel. Oh no. Well, I think you cannot unhonk this horn. Maybe if we switch off the SIFA, we can save some energy. We're already more than 11 minutes late. Where did we pick that up? A button wear and tear, just saying. Yes. Now I'm a bit late for the brakes, obviously. Wow. Obernau. Actually, some people leaving the train. Walking single file. One of them thought, well, maybe I will go to Aschaffenburg anyway. No chance. It's lighter, yes. Only we're really a little amount of fuel left in our tanks. I wonder if we will make it. 3.9 kilometers to Aschaffenburg-Süd. That is not so far, luckily. Burn face. Get the train up to speed. I think there is an 80 limit around Aschaffenburg-Süd. But it's the last stop before we finally get home to Aschaffenburg. $80 announced here. And even though we are not traveling faster than 95, we get 1000 hertz. What is a bit surprising usually with a limit of 80 announced. you would expect 3 magnets. Instead of only 1. So that you only get 1000 Hertz monitoring if you're going faster than 95. But as always, I don't know whether this is a bug in the game or whether in this particular situation here it is actually in real life built like this. I gotta burn a bit more because we're going uphill. And otherwise the train might stall. But it is getting dangerously low on our fuel clock. Now we're also getting a VR0. That requires us to go slow down to 60 in case that we hit a 500 Hertz. Before we can stop at Aschaffenburg-Süd, and then we have really almost like a glass of diesel left in our tanks. Afterwards it will be 90. Now we actually got our 500 Hertz, we are below 40, so we are safe from a penalty brake. Still have to run to the signal. And let's hope that we can make it out of this station. Starting the train always costs a lot of fuel. Let's hope we don't have to wait for too long here, so that the idling does not take away too much energy. The service head is running late and is slowly approaching. You will need to wait for it to pass before you can proceed. We have to wait here with our motor idling, taking away the fuel. Maybe we can switch it off in this situation. When switching off, what would we probably do? Apply the parking brake. Reverse it to neutral, and then let's see. Can we turn it off? Motorsteuerung aus would have been my idea. To switch off the engine to save fuel. Doesn't want to. Maybe we have to put that into idling. Interesting. I managed to switch it off. After a while the motor schalted up. Thing is switched on, and then if you click it again, it works again. Moin! Sorry for being late. Akura. You are just in time to see us struggling. with how to switch off the engine. I actually thought this will eventually switch off the engine. Ah! Now, if you go motor start, it will switch it off. Motor start, and then now we actually switched it off. Now we're sitting here with both engines off. So interestingly, motor start, Motorsteuerung aus will switch off the engine. Hopefully we can get it running afterwards, but at the moment we are not wasting our little amount of fuel that is left. We're sitting here in a restricted 500 Hertz, by the way. So, and now we can be more relaxed and sitting at our red signal, because now we are not idling away our precious fuel. It must be so annoying if you're already late, not even to blame for being late, and then you have to wait at the red signal for another train that is also late to finally pass. Ah, maybe this is the train now that we have to wait for. A V60 pulling a couple of tree trunks. Is that what we were waiting for? Apparently. So let's see if we can get our engine running again. Okay, motor start. Works. Reverse to forward is already set. Parking brake to off. We're getting our holding brake on. Still have to close the doors. And then let's hope that the amount of fuel that we have left will take us into Aschaffenburg. Probably starting uphill a bit. Still restricted 500 Hertz, so not faster than 20. Boarding is commencing. This is Ronnie. Nice hop to Amsterdam and back to Munich. Good thing my cruise entertainment is also going along smoothly. They're here. Great. We're very happy to provide some entertainment on this very short flight to Amsterdam. Actually, I'm going via Amsterdam Schiphol to the next VTG office meeting. So, we are out of the 500 Hertz, still in the restricted 1000 Hertz, so limited to 40. But we can actually release here, since we got a proceed aspect of more than 30 kilometers per hour, and we're not expecting any influencing, any monitoring within the next 250 meters. So you can see there is almost no fuel left in our tank. It is almost gone. Let's just pick up enough or as much speed as we can, and then we will just coast into the station. As soon as we made it past the signal here, well, they say you should not really empty the tank on a diesel engine, right? So this is why we switch them off here. And now we have to coast into... We made it across this point, and now we should actually be able to coast into... That the runway where you drive to the terminal for about 15 minutes is... Is there still something left in our engine? There is something left, even if the marker is already almost at 0. No. The rest is for preserving the engines. Okay, now the engine's actually switched off and we have to coast in to Aschaffenburg main station. And now whatever speed we have needs to get us into the platform. 1 kilometer to go. Both engines are switched off. A penalty break now would be very unfortunate. That would be actually a neck breaker. I actually thought if it would be nice to drain the fuel completely and then coast into the platform. And, well, seems like we achieved that. Here this V60 can pull the train then to the refueling station. Anything else after this? I actually have not planned anything, but I think we're going to drive something. I'm open for suggestions. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, without any fuel we made it. You ran out of fuel and the train is now stuck. A rescue loco will have to be called out. Oh, thank you very much, scenario. Well done on making it to Aschaffenburg. Scenario failure, even though... Okay, now we made the third ending that is possible. Actually, there is one ending where, obviously, where you fail. And then there is one ending where you make it, and then there is one ending where you can do both. So we made it in the fail screen. Task failed successfully. No, thank you very much. So this actually failed into success. This is no fair. Okay, so in case you want to actually beat this scenario and get points for it, make sure that you have a little itty bitty amount of fuel left when arriving at Aschaffenburg, because otherwise It counts as failed even if you fail on the finish line. Task failed successfully. This is what happened. So, any suggestions what to do instead? Would you fancy a Riesa Dresden run? Then let's do that on the old DLC or on the Bahnstrecke Leipzig-Dresden. Riesa Dresden. Riesa. What am I doing? Leipzig Dresden or Riesa Dresden? Spectre, what do you prefer? Whatever you prefer. Well then, let's use the Dresden to Leipzig. What vehicle should I use? An ICE? I guess it is a rail tour, yeah. Let's see what it Dresden to Köln, that is Dresden to Leipzig. 1 hour 20. Those are freight services. Röderau Dresden. We have not used this livery yet of the OR 145 Expert. In case CDRajdar comes back, we could use the Trax 2, the black one, to annoy him. To annoy Spectre, we could use the Trax 3. The 147 is not on this. Oh yeah, of course it is. Oh, it is actually doing the passenger runs between Meißen, no, mainly those two services. Then let's try our pretty new Trax 3, the 147. And actually, are we going to do Meißen to Dresden? Meißen to Dresden is always such a beautiful. Or we do the full run. Well, let's look at the clock. Let's do a Meißen to Dresden run. Meißen. Let's use this one and see where we end up. Meißen is always a beautiful spot to start your service. So, let's get this loco started. How does that work again? Activate the driver's compartment, safety systems. Look at those beautiful dostos, and people are running away by the score because they don't want to leave. Meißen, Triebischtal. Light configuration is correct.
AFB, AFB, AFB.
We're starting with 60, right? Yeah. This should comply. By the way, this allows us some time to adjust the DLC marker. Leipzig, Dresden. It is now and the service is something else. I don't put it in just so that we know what we are doing. Or maybe I put it in 31755. So that we know what we are doing. Yeah. You had it coming. Now you can't leave the platform. This will show you to leave my train. Doors are closed. Always want to see my driving motors.
Bad Schandau. Wir wünschen Ihnen eine
Zugbeeinflussung.
Nächste
Zugbeeinflussung.
Station Meißen Altstadt. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
So, longest track ever.
Meißen Altstadt. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
Remember that those stations here typically require you to go all the way until you get to the 1 meter point. Otherwise, the stop does not count. Bad Schandau, Disgrace Meadow Spa. Wow. Now you outdid yourself, Spectre. So this AFB holding brake always takes really long to
Sehr geehrte
allow us to
Gäste,
go on.
herzlich willkommen im Zug S1 nach Bad Schandau. Wir wünschen Ihnen eine angenehme Reise. Nächste Station Meißen.
So through this little train spotting spot.
Nächste Station Meißen. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
And across the bridge.
SIFA. SIFA.
And already 1 minute 30 late. To close my doors faster. Neusörnewitz.
Sehr geehrte Reisende, herzlich willkommen im Zug S1 nach Bad Schandau. Wir wünschen Ihnen eine angenehme Reise. Nächste Station Neusörnewitz. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung rechts.
Will be interesting how Spectre is going to translate this. He's a tough cookie, right? What is a Sörne? We're already in the 100 here, aren't we? Yes, we are. New Sörne joke, yeah? But what do we do with the Sörne? We don't know what the Sörne is. CDRajdar is currently on a 30 stream streak. So nice to see you. So sad you missed the running on vapor scenario. So sad that we have to slow down to 70 now.
Zugbeeinflussung.
I actually listened in the car while driving home. Ah, I'm so happy. So you heard that we actually managed to beat and not beat the scenario at the same time. We beat it and failed it.
Zugbeeinflussung.
But thanks again for the tip. I wasn't aware of this scenario, and it was really a fun one to play.
Nächste Station Neusörnewitz. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung rechts.
A second, please. I just was aware that the door to the balcony is still open, and all the midgets and mosquitoes are coming in. Juniper! Thank you so much for subscribing. You subscribed for 10 months, currently on a 9-month streak. Hi, he says. Wonderful to have you guys on the stream. Is it enough? Oh yeah, luckily. It was far enough. Just like this. And CDRajdar, see Tiger always streaming Train Simulator 6 on my car screen was really nice. Funny. Is that Meißen with the 147? Yes, it is. How's that possible? Well, it just was there. I didn't do anything. Please don't tell me this is something that... No.
Sehr geehrte Reisende, herzlich willkommen im Zug.
That should not be
S1
out
nach Bad Schandau. Wir wünschen Ihnen eine angenehme Reise.
by now.
Nächste Station Coswig bei Dresden. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung rechts.
At least I have nothing on my list. That is to be released at a later date. It was just there when we started playing it. And I'm not running any beta
Zugbeeinflussung.
build. This is the official build.
Zugbeeinflussung. Zugbeeinflussung.
And Meißen was a nice trip for you, yeah, I think so. Expected, I think it just subs in for the 146, yeah, I think so. Those are the services that are typically run by the 146.2 Trucks 2 locomotive.
Zugbeeinflussung. Zugbeeinflussung.
HL 16 now. And go. And we're running into Coswig. That's one of the 146.2 locomotive. What's with those Discord streams? What you mean? The streams that I am running on my Discord? Is it actually something that you can see?
Nächste Station, Coswig bei Dresden. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung rechts.
Maybe because you have moderator rights, right? Yes, you can access it. You and AJ can access it. I made this thing so that I can play some retro games with a friend. And there is a private gaming channel for us. And I think I allowed the moderators in. Yeah, so, well, you're welcome to join us in the realms of Arcania. I definitely won't do that. I have no idea what's it about. It is actually a really, really old school role-playing game trilogy based on a German pen and paper role-playing game called Das Schwarze Auge, later marketed as The Dark Eye. And those computer games were one of the earliest tryouts to port pen and paper role-playing game things into computer games. German might be a problem too. Oh yeah, we're playing the game in English though, but we are talking in German, yes. So it's actually only my friend and me. And we actually used to play this stuff in the 90s. When I was fresh as kids. And we discovered that it still exists, and now going into memory lane and look at how computer games evolved since then. So this is what this channel is for, actually. But yeah, sorry for putting this on you. Radebeul Coswig. Spectre, what's with the translation of that?
Sitzschewig, Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
No problem at all, just was curious if it is something for a community or personal. No, it is a personal thing, not for the community. Well, it's nothing secret, obviously, but I would not want to bore anyone with that. Alright, smooth sailing back again, Ronnie. Perfect. Back home from Amsterdam. Ronnie, the CDRajdar. So, if you want to stay on time with this service here, then you really have to close your doors fast. Otherwise, it happens what happened to me,
Sehr geehrte Reisende,
that you lose more and more time.
Zug S1 nach Bad Schandau. Wir wünschen Ihnen eine angenehme Reise. Nächste Station.
Do all
Radebeul,
ECE drivers have to have an ECE-L training?
Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
Asks CDRajdar. Or as we say, JD Vectron training. Well, Radebeul Kötzschubroda is very easy to translate then. Compared to Zitzschewig. Not at all. They don't.
Nächste Station, Radebeul, Kötzschenbroda. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
And Juniper asks Ronnie whether he drives international ECE as well. Wheel bump vomit bread. I can see it, Spectre, I can see it. And Ronnie says, sadly not. I'm Munich based, so my opinion will only be the Austrian license, which I am not eligible for. For another year, I would have to apply for. I could, if I was based in Frankfurt. Oh, will you do that one freight service that goes to your home? Spectre, maybe I could apply as a localization guy at DTG. Yeah. Will you do that one freight service that goes to my home? You have to tell me which one it is, CDRajdar, then I will gladly do it. Maybe not tonight, though. But whenever there is time again. But maybe we can use it to give the Expert 145 a new spin.
Nächste Station, Radebeul bei Trachau. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
Radebeul translated with wheel bump. That is some creativity sparkling through here. And Ronnie says the only way for me to end up on international services would be to Stuttgart with, let's say, IC 242 or something. He says I operate the international services but only inside of Germany. I see.
Sehr geehrte Reisende, herzlich willkommen im Zug.
Always cutting short the nice announcements.
Nächste Station, Radebeul Ost. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
But with Titschewik, he still does not have translation. Big news, CDRajdar.
Nächste Station, Radebeul Ost. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
Juniper is asking whether they need many Austrian license operators. Munich, Innsbruck, Salzburg. Hope they don't cancel our flight. In August I'm going to Asuma from London all the way to Edinburgh. Oh, that is beautiful. Tell me that you will be in London around the 14th of August.
Sehr geehrte Reisende, herzlich willkommen im Zug S1 nach Bad Schandau. Wir wünschen Ihnen eine angenehme Reise. Nächste Station, Dresden-Trachau. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
Apparently not just as we do the ÖBB colleagues with the necessary drive across the border. Yeah, so it's just be an ÖBB driver taking over Munich. 21st and 24th. Oh, So I will be back home then already. It must be nice to ride on the Osuma, says. In fact, I think Joe, the British ACS, spoke about that service once. He recommended it. Expensive as hell. Yeah, that is true. Compared to ticket prices in Germany,
Dresden, Trachau, Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
British Rail tickets cost an arm and a leg. We actually managed to pick up some time again. But the London-Edinburgh route is comparably long as a flight included travel to and from the airport and check-in without those annoying airport things. Yeah, that's correct.
Sehr geehrte Reisende, herzlich willkommen.
And how do you get to London in the first place then? By plane or by Eurostar?
Eine angenehme Reise. Nächste Station Dresden Pieschen. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
Well, Spectre, Pieschen. Obviously by plane. Well, you can go by the Eurostar. The Eurostar itself is not so super expensive if you go off-peak. And Juniper says, the past years has been really hard for me, but your streams always brighten up my Sunday night and I look forward to them. Thank you for that. Thank you for saying that, Juniper. I'm sorry to hear that you're going through hard times. But I'm really happy that I can alleviate it a bit. Brightened up a little bit at least. And yeah, CDRajdar, I can see it. If you have a problem with Eurostar from Germany, let alone me from Prague. Well, you can get that from Germany with different combinations of ICEs to Paris Gare du Nord, obviously, and then with the Eurostar. But it's typically more expensive than going by plane. Even though they cancelled the nice Ryanair connection that I used last year. So that I have to fly with KLM to Amsterdam. There is Eurostar from Amsterdam. I think there is, yes. But KLM is a very nice airline. I don't know if I ever went by KLM before. I think I did, but I can't remember.
nach Bad Schandau. Wir wünschen Ihnen eine angenehme Reise. Nächste Station Dresden Bischofsplatz. Ausstieg in
Nürnberg.
Fahrtrichtung links.
Ronny, Nürnberg. 70 limit.
Zugbeeinflussung. Zugbeeinflussung.
They used Fokker planes, which is an interesting choice. 300 euros one way London Amsterdam by Eurostar, like 70 euros with KLM. And from what I've seen, you can go from Paris to London on the Eurostar for 44 euros in off-peak trains. So back and forth it will be like 88 bucks then. Well, that seems to be the minimum fare.
Nächste Station Dresden Bischofsplatz. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
So now we're already in the bend. Been off for a week now and glad to be back tomorrow, itching to get back into my cozy 407 or 403 thereafter. We can feel you. I guess we all would like to have a cozy run on our Baureihe 407 or 403.
Sehr geehrte Reisende, herzlich willkommen im Zug S1.
We'll be looking forward to your Instagram post as always. The CDRajdar.
Station Dresden Neustadt. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
So, Dresden Neustadt is the next stop.
Nächste Station Dresden Neustadt. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
The self-turnaround in Nürnberg on the way back is not it though. Luckily it's just a single unit. Ah. You actually have to turn around in Nürnberg. Love the old halogen lights and the non-digital old MFA. This Ronnie to Spectre, who said the original 403 was a nice train. I actually like the old 403 as well.
Sehr geehrte Reisende, herzlich willkommen im
What am I
Zug
doing?
S1 nach Bad Schandau. Wir wünschen Ihnen
Der
eine
Zug
angenehme
S1.
Reise. Nächste Station Dresden Mitte. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
It ran close to where I lived as a child as Lufthansa Airport Express. So cool, that livery. Saying that, the new Roadrunner feature in ETCS compatibility comes with its perks. A Roadrunner is always a nice thing. I guess in real life as well as in the simulation. Are we stopping at Dresden Mitte? Yes, we are. You meant that 403. Now we're on the same page. We are passing the Labe, the Elbe now. On our way to Dresden Mitte. Weather has deteriorated a bit compared to when we started at Meißen. Nevertheless, the delay is not due to the weather, but to the driver reading the chat before closing the doors. The Lufthansa Quack. It looks like a duck. The Lufthansa Quack. Quack. So, we're almost back at Dresden. And I love how the guys are chatting about their old trains. We're even stopping at Freiberger Straße.
Freiberger Straße. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
That station you almost forget, unless you're on the S-Bahn tracks.
Nächste Station Dresden, Freiberger Straße. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
And Ronnie with a door of 401 service. Haven't had a real long one in quite some time. It's really interesting that those things are still running around. Dresden-Freiberger Straße, bitte. Oh, a long chat entry from CDRajdar. Off topic, a funny story from the Czech railways. Oh, I have to stop my train first before I can indulge. The private carrier Leo Express started operating a line with old Spanish Talgo sets, but on the first day they were several hours delayed due to malfunctions. In a few days they cancelled all services completely and are That does not sound great. Did they not test their trains before
Herzlich willkommen im Zug S1
starting this?
nach Bad Schandau. Wir wünschen Ihnen eine angenehme Reise. Nächste Station Dresden Hauptbahnhof. Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
Zugbeeinflussung. Zugbeeinflussung.
What could possibly go wrong? Yeah, that's the spirit, Spectre. That's the spirit. Oh my god, but now there are plans to pick it up again at some time? At some point in time, or is this the end of Leo Express?
Ausstieg in Fahrtrichtung links.
Oh, there was 50 announced and now there is 60. Interesting.
Zugbeeinflussung. Zugbeeinflussung.
And what limit does the game actually want? 60. Okay. The Talgo box behind the Vectron is extremely funny. So it's a Vectron locomotive pulling Talgo coaches with those Talgo rodals, or what? Is that the idea? We made it to Dresden, and still with 10 points left for our in-time bonus. They look so small, like on that US service with a big fat diesel in front. Leo Express has a lot of services. CDRajdar, these are just a few selected trains per day. I see, okay. Vectron pulls it because Talgo doesn't have ETCS and it is not electric. Because Talgo is not electric. Does not Talgo have those electric locomotives that are supposed to pull the ICEL? Wasn't that a Talgo Trachau or what those locos are called? And they should have ETCS then too, right? But, well, just like the ETL is waiting for those locomotives, maybe Leo is waiting for those locomotives too. Interesting things. These are some very old ones, I see. Okay. Yeah. Refurbished. Guys, as beautiful as it is with all you beautiful people on the chat, CDRajdar, tell me what service it is that runs to your hometown so that I know it for the things to come. As it is, I do not have a lot of time at the moment, so I will try to keep it up streaming on Sunday night, but there won't probably that many presentations in the next 2 or 3 months. But this does not mean that we cannot run some trains and look into things anyway. I've heard that there are a lot of streams about trains in World 6 that don't have presentations. Can't really understand why, but so this is as it is. It's been a very eventful year so far as a CDRajdar. It is, or it has been, in good and in bad instances. Well, we're getting a lot of splash screens now until we're back into the main screen, into the main menu. Again, Thomas. Again, the London Underground. Maybe some returns to Liberec. Yes, why not? Unfortunately, there are still some scenarios that are bugged in the Liberec Starter Parker. I would have loved to play some scenarios out of there that are not bugged, but maybe I will do a mega stream about this one sequential freight service that runs from Liberec all the way to Starter Parker, picking up cars and stuff. But this will take longer. Or this one scenario where you have to cool your engines. Yeah, why not? It is definitely something that I'm looking forward to returning to. So what is my game doing now? How often have we cycled now through this? Thomas and the London Underground. And the Upgrade Your Collection Splash. They really want us to buy, Thomas. That's another thing. Actually, I would have liked to look deeper into Thomas Wonders of Sodor. But with all the releases in March, there is not really a lot of time left. Where have the motor rival ads gone? Yeah, where have they gone? This is another thing. Actually, I'm sad that this game does not will not be released. I was actually looking forward to it. I did not really believe in the concept, so I will have to end this here now. We're going into cycling and cycling and cycling and never getting anywhere. I can't even end it. Does not react to ending. I cannot even bring the task manager up. Cycle of Doom. Well, CDRajdar, you have to tell me a different time what service it is that goes to your hometown. Then I will run this. In Germany, we say Shoemaker, stay with your last. Schuster, bleib bei deinen Leisten. Is that what it is called in English? Ein Leisten? Thank you for doing the Viper scenarios, says CDRajdar. Yes, it was a pleasure. I enjoyed it a lot, even if I didn't see it. Well, you can rewatch it. It was actually funny because the game first told us that we failed, and then they congratulated us for making it, and then it ended. And now the game has hung itself more or less in a way that I cannot even end it anymore. Anyway, thank you so much for staying with me, for bearing with me, for chatting with me, for sharing your reminiscences of past ICE trains. Thanks for the stream, Tigers. Expect to see you guys Juniper, all the best to you, all the best to everybody else, and see you soon, hopefully next Sunday. Bye-bye.